Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another Circular Lunch Club, Circularity in the Water Sector. My name is Mark Lumani from Circular South Africa, and as you heard, I'm joined by my colleagues Katerina and Gabriela. Today's session is it's an important one as it's cross-cutting to all sectors, and it speaks of something that we use on a daily basis, which is water. And before I get into that exciting topic, just for anyone that's here for the first time, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for taking the time to joining this discussion. Please use the chats to share your insights and just introduce yourself and meet our community. And and the Circular Lunch Club was born from a post just about this session. The Circular Lunch Club was born post lunch, what you call it, webinar fatigue after COVID. And we created this short bite-sized sessions where we could really share the case studies from our partners and members, and also just to have a place where we could communicate and share our insights and collaborate, because to create a circular economy, we really need collaboration in South Africa. Like I said, my name is Mark Lumani, and I'm excited to present Romy Stander, who is the Director of Water for the Future, and she'll be sharing circular approaches to water systems in South Africa. And before I hand over to Romy, I just want to share a little bit about Circular South Africa. Circular South Africa is a national platform that was created and designed to amplify the potential and the value of a just circular economy transition across South Africa. And as we know, South Africa is an extractive-based economy that has led to resource depletion, environmental degradation, as well as social inequalities, with most of the resources that we extract being exported, and also a lot of the energy dominated by fossil fuels with a low rate of domestic stock build. So the circular economy provides South Africa with a regenerative alternative, and this we can see throughout all the different sectors. And it's guided by fundamental principles: design out waste and pollution, keep materials and products at the highest value, regenerate natural systems, and one that we feel that's important at CSA is benefit all members of society. So the circular economy is a cross-sectoral systems approach where you could find opportunities of interconnectivity throughout all the sectors. And water is really one of those components that is needed in every sector. And looking at our thematic focus areas for 2025, these are really inspired from the CSIR technical reports. And we have hosted a circular lunch club on mining, human settlements, mobility, energy, manufacturing, and today's one is water, and next month we're talking about agriculture. If you have missed any one of these sessions, there's a recap on YouTube. You can go over there and check them out. And if you have not yet, please subscribe, as well as like all of these things as well, just to get that aware, and also staying tuned because there'll be more webinars that we'll be sharing on there as well. And this is a water illustration, which was also done in collaboration with CSIR. This is available on our Knowledge Hub, as well as the CSIR technical water report is also there. And this is a very informative document on what's happening in the water sector in South Africa. So please give it a read. And while you're there, please sign up as a member of CSA or partner, and stay tuned and share your knowledge as well on the circular spaces. And before I hand over to Romy, just some insights on South Africa's water sector. South Africa is a water scarce country with 98% of our water already allocated, and 61% of that water is allocated to agricultural sector. And looking at it from provinces, Eastern Cape is actually one of the provinces that is struck by drought and is prone to drought, and has critical water scarcity issues. And Johannesburg is actually, Gauteng is actually projected to face the same critical water shortage by the year 2030. And if we're lucky, it can go over to 2040s. But this means that the demand is far exceeding the supply where we are right now. But just in Johannesburg alone, the issue is further complicated by infrastructure issues, where we currently have 44.8% of the water that we have in Johannesburg lost due to leaks. And in Gauteng, 35% of that water is also due to leaks and infrastructural issues. So this means that there's an urgent need for circular interventions and improved water systems and infrastructures in South Africa. And with that said, I know it sounds all doom and gloom. I'm going to hand over to Romy. She will share the great work that is done at Water for the Future to remedy this kind of situation and infrastructural systems in South Africa. So over to you, Romy.
Thank you, Mark, and your team, Gabby and Katerina. I really appreciate being here today. Um, I just really want to speak from my experience of being in the sector, starting Water for the Future over 8 years ago with environmental artist Haneli Kutsia. It was a rabbit hole that I went down. And in those early days, not knowing much, I think sometimes being naive about a subject matter is sometimes why we get involved when we do get involved. Because I think if I knew what I know now, I maybe might not have embarked down this crazy, crazy route. Um, so in the early days when I started the project, I had no ecological background. I used to work in interior design and work with African artifacts and handmade crafts within this context, and wearing quite a few hats, working for the founders of Nando's in philanthropy. I spent most of my time up until COVID in Mozambique. And so when COVID hit, I was spending more time around the head office of Nando's, which is in Lorenzville, a block down from Ellis Park. And I had already started this side hustle of understanding that this neglected, sad looking little river that daylights behind the Nando's head office central kitchen, um, the Yekske River, was there. And not having this ecological background, I just started Googling and learning and reading. And I came across a very interesting article published in the Mail and Guardian titled Searching for the Soul of the Yekske. And that was written by Sean Christie, wherein he referred to the old chairman of the Yekske River, Paul Farrell. And when I cold called him on one crazy Saturday morning, this gentleman explained to me that I had to come and visit him, and found out that he was actually old age home, and
Wow.
he would start the story from the days when a comet hit the planet at 3 to 4 dome 7 billion years ago. And I laugh because I feel like I've turned into him because there's not a lot I can put in a nutshell about this project. And which brings me to the circularity of this water sector. Because as South Africans, we have to look at things holistically, and a river touches on every aspect of society. So to just hone in on one aspect of the problem is never going to get us anywhere. And this is something that I learned in the very early days. So the background poster I'm just going to keep up here is what I used recently at an international symposium on rivers to explain how Water for the Future works. Because in those early days, sitting with Paul Farrell, listening to everything he had to share and where to start and what to do and why, he highlighted that we had to begin with a clear slate, a foundation that is solid, that we can rely on. And as a river is a living, breathing entity, every millisecond, every microorganism, everything is constantly changing and living. And so it would be only wise to start with a new set of info that we could grow from, and like a living body of work. And so he put together this panel of experts from hydrology, soil, invasive sensitivity audits, historical, you name it. And I was lucky enough to then raise some seed funding from Nando's, and then an adjacent urban renewal development called Victoria Yard from that group of shareholders. And that allowed me to commission those original reports that informed the environmental management plan. And the early days of the project was, thanks so much. The early days of the project was really trying to pinpoint what is what are we looking at? Like, what are all the problems also? And having all of these experts who have remained to this day, I might add, as mentors and an incredible support structure. Um, it only made sense because the water being so heavily polluted in the Yixkay stream due to failing infrastructure and all the other issues um, would be the long-term work and always the continual work stream, excuse the pun, running alongside every other part of this holistic approach. So also when starting such an initiative, and you understand there are so many things to consider, the next thing is, well, where will the money come from, and how will we start to unpack and approach and delve into starting to figure out how to solve the issues. Um, Alien invasive removal became the next practical step. So that foundation was knowledge research, academics. The next step was, okay, we have a grip on all these different areas, but to actually access the land, be able to have a living, breathing example alongside the river where we could then access safely, remove aliens, restore with the indigenous grasses that are almost extinct, the Soweto high fault grasslands. We could then get engineers and other experts to come and assess this river that has been canalized very early on in along the headwaters of the Yukon from where it daylights. So again, it was, oh my gosh, we located in the Johannesburg CBD. Jobs in the green economy don't really feature in a city landscape. Now you're looking for a workforce that's highly skilled, being able to identify various invasives at any age of a seedling to a very established tree, the correct manual removal, the safety and health aspects of just that work alongside a waterway, um, where most people in the city are, very skilled in construction or, used to jobs in security, cleaning, and you're coming now with something completely different. And what we want to do while we're doing the learning is the upskilling and the sharing. But then, where are the knowledge sources for that in the city context? And who are the experts? And how much does that cost? So I feel like it's just been this massive can of worms of unpacking this thing to the last detail to understand how much do these things cost? What does it mean to have a workforce that is truly empowered to feel safe and unmonitored, that can just work out in the field because there's vast expanses of the catchment, and they understand what they are doing is directly linked to water resiliency by removing alien invasives and putting in the indigenous grasslands and stuff. So through the process in the very beginning of commissioning all those reports and then developing an EMP, an environmental management plan. The chairman, Paul Farrell of the Yixkay, passed away suddenly, and it's that big thing when one door closes and you lean so heavily on this library of knowledge that's no longer there. It's when the University of Johannesburg process energy and technology substation from the engineering faculty stepped in. A wonderful woman by the name of Nikki van Rensburg. She plugged the gap and sponsored the EMP, and we built a beautiful relationship since those days and realized, especially with my background in interior design and craft, not having any of that expertise required in the environmental, ecological sector, um, everything that Water for the Future does since that point is always underpinned by feasibility study or further research. And I highlight it for my very colorful, I would put them walking tours that you are all welcome to join when they happen in Johannesburg in the hood. So in this way, I've worked, I'd say sometimes pedantically, um, single-mindedly, block by block by block, because I have a huge responsibility. I feel that because we are located in such a position upstream, everything we'll do or are doing has an effect downstream. And I've also explained to so many people, the more I learn about working on a river, is that you get to see that this is truly an example of Ubuntu, because what I do here affects you down there and further downstream. And this private public partnership of the landowners as you go down the pilot block. So there was a lot of piloting, a lot of learning, a lot of making mistakes, and a lot of just, keep trying to learn till we get some pockets of funding. And the first one that made sense um, was in December 2022. We were approved to be part of the Social Employment Fund, and I could employ 110 people from the immediate area, walking distance, to the river, to the Yixley River. And that's when we started a massive drive on cleaning the streets, because obviously that's taking out the rubbish that could end up going into the river through the stormwater drains, how to plant trees properly, and then tending to them and looking after them, and the educational level, and creating that link within the community that it's not me actually employing them, it's this river, it's nature, it's this green corridor that you see unfolding in front of you. And have we learned lessons? I mean, what was fantastic about the Social Employment Fund opportunity, apart from people just getting 2 days of wage, which they haven't had for who knows how long, or sometimes never having had an opportunity to work or be in a working environment or have a reason to wake up in the morning. This has just been such a great opportunity for us and this community, and for that money to stay in the area. You know, the ripple effects of all the circular opportunity, like models that just come out of this. When we remove the alien invasives, certain sizes of the branches or the twigs get separated according to, can this be firewood? This can be wood chips. This could be mulch, composting, you name it, And so again, understanding those steps through the work everybody's doing, thinking about what are we doing and why are we doing it? It's not just a job. And then doing that for 3 rounds with the Social Employment Fund. And I mean, there's so many stories. That's why I hope I'm making sense, because I feel like my mind is just flooded with all these wonderful experiences we've had through these processes. Um, but again, we've just managed to plow through all those experiences of the Social Employment Fund and grow and keep growing. And then in December 2023, we got this phone call out of the blue from the World Resources Institute that they had chosen us as an implementing partner for the Nkasa project. So this is a project now funded by the Canadian Global Affairs for sustainable, um, sorry, I always get this acronym wrong, scaling urban nature-based solutions for climate change adaptation. So it's a mouthful. So they chose Water for the Future at the start of the catchment to do the alien invasive removal and the strategic rehabilitation in 150 hectares, which is directly linked to water resiliency plan for the city of Johannesburg. They had developed the scope. And then Alexander Water Warriors, headed up by Paul Maluleke and somebody downstream from us in Alexander Township, to be responsible for the debris management and urban greening, which is in the planting out of trees. So it's massively now scaling out all our humble work in these pilot blocks for the real benefit. And those calculations have proven this work by the end of the project, March 2026, will have an indirect benefit for over 2 million Gauteng people. And I'm just so grateful that we are all using nature to help fix nature rather than further concrete jungles that aren't permeable and really to my heart, you know, not making use of the people, the capital, and the value we have in this country. Um, so yeah, I think that's sort of where I'll leave it because I'm aware of the time, and obviously there's so much more to say. So thank you. If there's any questions, and that's sort of where we're up to today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Romy, and well done on the great work that you're doing. And I love the one statement that you made that it's not you hiring the people, it's nature. And that's so beautiful. And it also speaks to how you're making a holistic impact to the environment and society, and as well as, just people as well. I really love that. Is there any questions out there from our people? Does anybody want to unmute and just ask Romy a question? Someone say we're unable to unmute.
Anything.
I think, Mark, it seems
Yeah.
like Chloe wants to ask a question. So, Chloe,
Yeah.
let me just find your name and then I'm going to unmute you so that you can speak. Um, Hang on, does that work?
Yeah, I think this works. Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Yes, we
Yes.
can hear you.
Wonderful, thank you. So just wanted to thank Romy so much for such an awesome project that she's been on and that she jumped into this unknowingly, even without the expertise, and that you've just kind of committed to the process along. So thank you for that. It's very inspiring. But also just curious to know with regards to the project, and it sounded like you said the project ends in March 2026. I mean, is this intending to still move on further? Like, will there be like, is it just a specific funding project that will end in that time, or will there continue to be work happening on the river after that? And I'm in the biochar industry and microbial industry, so I work with microbial inoculation for biochar, and that for soil regeneration and also for wetland regeneration and water filtration. And I'm just curious to know because I think I'm a fan of nature-based solutions primarily as the first go-to mechanism to restore our ecosystems, but also to blend kind of engineering, human engineering, and natural engineering. And I'm just curious to know if there would be room to work with biochar down the line on the river as a water filtration and wetland restoration mechanism.
Chloe, thanks so much for the compliments and the vote of confidence and also just your question. So firstly, I'm sitting at a large banking institution because I'm hustling for the next phase. Because if I can keep all these people employed after March 2026, that is my main goal. I have an incredible site manager, Mapudi Misimango, who was a chainsaw operator for 23 years from the Department of Environmental Affairs. And seeing her being so just proud of her teams and how everyone's growing through all the chainsaw training and C-REP and you name it. And we've recently just completed effective microorganism training where we are making use of a wonderful entity based in the Free State who are specialists in regenerative agriculture, where we have taught a handful of our teams to brew and ferment effective microorganisms. So it's like I could say it's like a magic spray, and wherever we work, from the daylight point right through down for the first 7 kilometer stretch, which is the Brummer water management section. We are spraying the lands, the soil with effective microorganisms to start from literally that level upwards. Um, we would definitely want to look at long term, and that's why I'm, still always working with other opportunities to see how we can integrate and do things like eco parks. We had a peer learning review in Kigali in February this year, where we could visit an eco park funded by the World Bank, which is at the lowest lying point of valleys and is just filtering all this water that is coming down their hills. And where this catchment starts is exactly the same thing. And there's this fantastic opportunity to open up this canalized river from old engineering days to become wetlands that can filter our water and recharge our aquifers and all that kind of stuff. So, we also had to present a sustainability plan to the city of Johannesburg last week Friday, which went very well, but a lot of work still has to happen with that. And obviously the city needs to make sure they can tick all their boxes on their reporting. So I'm just still at it, making sure that it will keep going and hopefully find other international funding actually to do so and grow more and share just what we're learning with other river communities all over the country. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question, Chloe. Is there anyone else that want to maybe share the insights or ask a question? There's a question in the group, but Daniela, do you want to unmute and maybe ask it yourself, or just to welcome the voices? Yeah, there we go. Daniela is.
Alina, I think you should be able to speak now.
Thank you very much. Hi, colleagues and friends of the river. My name is Delene Lowe. I work for the Gauteng Department of Economic Development, but I'm also a academic doctor on circular economy. So it's very interesting to me. What I want to know is that the Frankenwald development has been approved by the city of Joburg. In my life in government, I do intergovernmental relations, so I know where all these things fit in. But I just want to know, have you engaged with the Frankenwald developers? Have you looked at what the impact of that massive development is going to be on the river? And have you perhaps engaged them on how they could assist with, especially because Frankenwald is on the opposite side of Alexandra, at the Marlborough train station. So it would be very conducive to engage with the developers at this stage while they are still busy with site layout, etc., to become friends of the river before they even start construction, because we know what construction does to a river. Thank you.
Hello. Yes, Dillian. I have been in conversation with Dr. Gwen Theron. I think she is one of the known town planners on the project. We would support that work via the Alexander Water Warriors, as they are the community representatives around Frankenwald. They would very much like us to bring in the circular economy model and job creation in the alien invasive and strategic rehabilitation around that development. So I'm very aware of it. I'm just, like all of these things, they take so much time. And when everybody's ready, Paul Maluleke and his team and ourselves with my experts, we're going to join forces and make sure that we can really make that development work for the city, work for those communities upstream and downstream. So really want to go about it as sensitively and sustainably as possible. Thank you. I can put you in touch if you reach out with Dr. Gwen Thron, who has been developing the body of work in collaboration with the city of Johannesburg if you need so. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Elena and Romy. Thank you so much for the session. And guys, please fill out the survey just to share your feeling of the session, and also to improve our sessions and impact the Circular South Africa. And thank you guys so much for taking the time to be with us today on this Circular Lunch Club on water. And have a great day, and I hope you guys enjoyed the session. Have a great day further, and a big thank you to Romy and my team for supporting me.
Right back at you, Mark. Thanks, everybody. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.